Well, welcome everyone to another delicious, nutritious adventure. This event is in collaboration with Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. My name is Carrie Bruno. I'm a pharmacist, a PBNM board member, and your host for tonight's event. Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to educate, inspire, and support those moving to an evidence-based, whole, minimally processed, plant-based way of eating as a way to improve health and quality of life at all ages. Everyone interested in health and wellness is welcome to attend these events. Whether you've never heard about a plant-based diet before or you've already been eating this way for many years, we're all here to learn more and to help each other along the way. These events are held on the third Tuesday of the month, and this program will be recorded for future viewing and sharing on the PBNM YouTube channel. If you'd like more information about this group, PBNM, and future events, or would like to become a member and receive our monthly newsletters, go to pbnm.org. So for tonight's adventure, we'll be highlighting how a whole food plant-based way of eating can have significant impacts on overall health. And we are going to have two speakers tonight. Our first speaker is Janet Pearson. She is also a PBNM board member and a one-on-one plant-based coach. She'll be starting us off for about 10 to 15 minutes with our seasonal segment, and she'll be sharing information and recipes on asparagus, which is our seasonal vegetable for this month, as well as some Easter recipes and ideas. And our featured guest for tonight is Barb Chwierut. Barb has a certification in plant-based nutrition through eCornell, the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. She's also a licensed Food for Life instructor through PCRM. And she volunteers for Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group and hosts their weight loss support group. And we'll be sharing her and her husband's story, as well as a short presentation about weight loss. And finally, a bean burger cooking demo that she will share with us. And whatever time remains after Barb's presentation, we'll leave for questions. Everyone except the speakers will be muted throughout the presentation, and we ask everyone to remain muted to avoid interruptions and background noise. Please feel free to use the chat box if you have any questions for either of the speakers. And so without further ado, we'll get this event started. So Janet, would you like to start things off?
Thanks, Carrie, and happy first day of spring today. I'm here in the south suburbs of Chicago, and it was windy and cold. It felt like winter, even though the calendar says it's spring. But I know it's spring when I walk into the grocery store in the produce section and I see asparagus. And it's usually standing up in a pan of water, which I love to store it when I bring it home. I'm going to give you some ideas on that. But today, when I went to buy some, I found it at our local Aldi, and it was in a bag, all pre-wrapped per pound. And it looks like it doesn't have any moisture in it. So just a quick tip before I get into my story. I just bought this today, and what I'm going to do is cut it open. I'm going to put a little water in a mason jar, a tall one. These jars, the tall ones are actually called asparagus jars. So as you can see, the asparagus will fit and it will hang out a little bit without the lid on it, of course. So just put a little bit of water in it, put it in the refrigerator, and the asparagus will last for probably about good 3 to 5 days. It'll be nice, fresh, and snappy. You don't want to keep it much longer than that. But I hear some of the stores are having it on sale for as low as 69 cents at our local jewel store, if you're local to us. But anyway, that really is an exciting time of year, spring, so getting the fresh vegetables out in the grocery stores. And asparagus if you grow asparagus, I'm not sure if anyone here grows it, but Dr. Furman, I'm sure people are familiar with Dr. Furman. He's a very well-known author, nutritarian is what he calls his diet, because it's based on the nutrient density of various plants. and it's all plant-based and oil-free. And the asparagus, he talks a lot about it because he grows it. And it takes about 2 or 3 years to actually get your bed of asparagus growing. And once you get it established, he explains on some of the YouTube videos that I've watched him say that it could grow 6 or 7 inches overnight. That fast overnight, one night. It just like pops up all of a sudden, and you just clip it off, you cut it off, and it keeps on growing. And there's plenty of plants. Another plant that I could think of is called Swiss chard that I like to grow. In fact, I just bought some Swiss chard, rainbow Swiss chard, which comes in different colors, at a seed packet that we get at our Family Dollar, the dollar store actually in our area. 4 packs for $1 for seeds. So I bought a few of those. And when that grows in the garden, it's a little too early here, but you could put it in a pot or in your garden. And as it grows, you could just cut it off with scissors and it keeps on growing. So you could have greens all through the season. And both the Swiss chard and the asparagus can be eaten raw or cooked. So they're very versatile. They could be shaved, steamed, sauteed, roasted, creamed in a soup, blended. It's just a very versatile, it has a distinct flavor, and it can be paired with pasta, with lemon sauces, tahini sauces, Alfredo, vegan, of course, Alfredo sauces, and also cold salads. So I love to make it different ways and creative ways, or just eating it, as it is, raw or cooked. And what I'd like to also mention is that in the prairie around where my husband's home grew up, in the suburbs of Chicago, it was all prairie land back in the 60s and the 70s. Whenever I serve him asparagus this time of year, he always says, do you remember? Did I ever tell you the story? When I was young, my mother used to send me out to the prairie to go pick some asparagus because it was just growing wild. And I said, yeah, I always say, yes, I hear the story every year. But it's just funny how food connects us with memories of our grandparents, our parents, our childhood, and holidays, birthday parties, Easter. And I grew up in a very traditional Italian family, very close. My mom here is the youngest of nine brothers and sisters, siblings, and we always had birthday parties every month. But Easter was a very celebrated holiday in our family, and we had 2 favorite things that every Easter traditionally we made. And one was, we called it a frittata, and it's really, in French it would be called a quiche, but in Italian it's called a frittata. It's pretty much a scrambled egg type casserole almost, or a pie. And it was always made with like eggs and some cream and asparagus, Italian sausage, and a special type of Italian cheese called tuma. And it was named tuma, and it was only available this time of year because the name came from Jesus's tomb for Easter, about the risen Lord. So it was an interesting meal. But when I went plant-based, I thought, I'm never going to have this again in my life. But I've been Googling it after several years, and I found that when you make tofu into tofu scramble, you could use different types of tofu and blend them with chickpea flour, and it comes to a quiche type consistency. So I happen to be looking for this presentation for a recipe that I can revamp and add some additional flavors to mimic and bring those traditional memories of my childhood Easters and share it with my mom, who is currently 91, or going to be 91 in a few months over the summer, and I know she's going to love it. But the chickpea flour gives it a crust-like flavor layer at the bottom, and then the tofu scramble is the middle filling, and the asparagus, sliced asparagus, is steamed ahead of time, And the seasoned mushrooms, I'm going to season them with Italian seasoning and include fennel, so it'll kind of mimic the flavors of Italian sausage. And I'll probably put a little hot red pepper in because that'll give it a little spice. And I will also add nutritional yeast for the cheesy flavor, as well as a good vegan ricotta cheese, which I recently found. The Kite Hill brand has a no oil in a small tub. I didn't bring it here because it's in my refrigerator, but I found it and the ingredients are oil free. So I love the Kite Hill brands of cheeses that come in tubs. And when you're making tofu scramble, if you're not familiar with it, you could season it as an option. It's called Kalanamek. It's spelled Kala and then two words. The second word is Namak. And it's a salt. It's nicknamed also as a black salt. And I don't know if you could see it. This is from a bigger container, but it almost looks like a pinkish color. Let's see if I can put it in the camera. It's not black at all. It's kind of a light, very fine salt. Some people that we, associate with are salt free. But so you can avoid that if you don't want the extra sodium. But if you want an eggy flavor, this type of salt gives kind of a sulfury, eggy flavor to the eggs, which gives it a nice quiche taste. But like I said, it is optional. But getting back to asparagus, it is so versatile that it can be served shaved and raw in a salad. It could be, like I said before, lightly steamed, roasted, sauteed, blended in a soup, added with pasta and a lemony, garlic, cauliflower, like white cream type sauce, similar to an Alfredo sauce. Yes, if you're Italian and your favorite sauce was Alfredo, creamy, and you thought, I can never have this again, it's possible. You can have it again. And that's one magic thing that I've learned over my span of becoming plant-based and learning how to work with different cooking techniques, as well as learning from vegan plant-based chefs, that everything is possible. You just have to search long enough and find the right recipe. And a tip for what I do is I like to watch people online instead of reading a recipe. I learn better by watching. So a tip that I want to share with everyone, go on YouTube and search in YouTube whatever you're looking to make. So if it's a healthy vegan or plant-based, oil-free, Alfredo sauce with asparagus and mushrooms, be very specific and you will find recipes. And that's how I found this one. And then I'm going to share with you, and the link for the actual recipe that I just explained to you for the Italian frittata is what I'm calling it, my Easter brunch meal, will be in the show notes. When you go after the recording, we will post it to the show notes. So if you're watching live today, it should be all up and ready to click on and find the full recipe that we're sharing from the website, someone else's website that we're giving them credit for, of course, because they created it. And I like to use recipes as a guideline because they give me ideas. Sometimes I combine 2 or 3 recipes and make it my own. And I'm sure Carrie and Barb would agree they do the same thing. Let me see, what else? If you're oil free, if you do find a recipe that has oil in it or vegan butter, vegan mayonnaise, just leave it. Sometimes you could still make the recipe and just leave it out totally. But if you feel it has a purpose, the oil is depending on the purpose of it in the recipe. Feel free to Google recipe oil substitute for X amount, whatever it is. If it's in baking or sauteing, usually we use for sauteing. For instance, if I was going to saute the asparagus and I would cut it in inch like size pieces after I washed it. And I would just saute it in a little vegetable broth or mushroom broth with some mushrooms and onions, a little garlic, maybe squirts a lemon, or you could put it in the air fryer and cook it. But once you don't want to overcook asparagus, You want to be done with it when it turns the brightest green. It'll turn bright green. And then if you keep on cooking it, it'll go dull again. So the ideal time to eat it is if you're cooking it, is when it's the brightest green color. And then if it's something you want to stop from cooking, you just dunk it in a bowl of ice water. And that's called blanching. And it works good when you're steaming or putting it in boiling water for just a few minutes. And that technique, blanching, works well with other types of greens too. And I do also want to share with you Dr. Furman's Nutritarian. He has looked at many of the vegetables and given them a value from 1 to 1,000. And asparagus is in the top 20 for most nutrient dense type of vegetables. And the top 5 are, I think, kale, collard greens, beet greens, so arugula, which are all cruciferous vegetables. And asparagus is very nutrient dense compared to how many calories it is. So it adds a lot of flavor. And I've also found that specific chart that you could find. It's a 2-page chart with an explanation of Dr. Furman's thought process when he did that research. You can find that also in a lot of his books. So that link I did put in the show notes, and I've also added his video on YouTube, how to cook vegetables without losing the nutritional value. Sometimes we wonder, are we cooking all the nutrients out of this? Are we cooking it too long? Because we want to maximize those values. And that is a great video that I recently watched, and I thought I would share it with everyone. But some of the other recipes that I found, let me just tell you here. Some of the recipes are the cauliflower Alfredo linguine with roasted asparagus. Doesn't it? Oh, that sounds good. I think I gotta make that with this asparagus. My husband and I are gonna enjoy that. And then Dr. Furman has a recipe with, which I thought was weird, asparagus with berries and walnuts. I don't know if Barb and Carrie ever thought about combining asparagus with berries and walnuts on a salad, but I thought that was something interesting and fresh for spring to try. And then he also has, let's see, a spinach and asparagus salad with fresh strawberries. He has a lemon vinaigrette with the asparagus, and he has great recipes for oil-free dressings. He has a asparagus farro, which is a grain. If you're not familiar with it, it's an Italian grain that's kind of toothsome and thick, and it's really filling, and it has a lot of nutrients in it. If you're familiar with some of the newer unusual grains other than rice, and millet is another one that is something that you can experiment and try. And then asparagus also pairs well with leeks as well as potatoes and mushrooms. And let's see, I even found a roasted beet asparagus vegan goat cheese type appetizer. And this is by Dr. Furman, so I know it's vegan. Doesn't that sound good? I can't wait to look at that and share it with everyone. So don't just come today and then forget about it. Go back to the video, and that's the end. Look, experiment, have fun with these recipes, and go get some asparagus next time you're at the store. And I will turn it back over to Carrie. Thanks again. Good luck with everything.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for all those recipes. I would like to echo one of the things that you mentioned, that, going plant-based or eating plant-based isn't always about giving up things that you've had in the past and thinking, oh, I'm never going to have that again, because you'd be surprised at the recipes you can find and the things that you can make from plant-based ingredients, and they taste better sometimes than the recipes that you used to eat before. And I will say I have never thought of combining asparagus with berries and walnuts, but I might have to give it a try. So,
Good.
so yeah. So our next speaker is Barb Chwierut, and she is going to be sharing her and her husband's health story. And then she will also do a short presentation on weight loss. And then she will be showing us a cooking demo video. So, Barb, the floor is all yours.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me here today. And I look forward to sharing some information with all of you, and welcome all of you who are watching this live and those of you who are watching the recording. So my story, well, my story is actually my husband's story. We've been whole food plant-based for about 12 years now due to his cardiac needs. So he had a mild heart attack at age 42, and we went to a renowned clinic back then. And we were told to eat chicken, fish, basically salmon, olive oil, and red wine. Now, before that, he never really drank, maybe a beer at a ball game once in a while, but he started to add, red wine every day to his meals. And I seldom cook with olive oil, but I was adding the olive oil in whenever I could. Well, the diet wasn't really making a difference in his numbers. And, in fact, when he would go to doctor visits, they would kind of insinuate that he wasn't following what he was being told. And we really were to a T. But then about 12 years ago, we heard of this new documentary called Forks Over Knives. We watched it and we really changed our eating overnight. In fact, over the years, we've had Forks Over Knives parties and invited our friends over to share what we've learned. Well, again, that was like 12 years ago. Over the years, he became a bit lax in his eating. Now, I think this is extremely important because he never ate animal products at all, but he started to add more of those refined carbs to his diet. As he's a chemist, he works in the business end of it. So they would bring in breakfast or snacks and they would bring in bagels. So, they were fat-free. He probably wouldn't stop at one bagel. He would stop, have a few. And we'd go out to eat and they'd bring you that loaf of, this piping hot white bread. And after a busy day at work, he would eat that. He'd be eating more of the white pastas. He started also having more salad dressings with oil. Again, never at home. This was never at home. It was if we were traveling or if we'd be out or he was at a business, meeting. And keep in mind that all vinaigrette dressings are 3/4 oil. And I know that he was probably adding some sugars, not at home, but if he was at a grocery store, he'd probably buy some, licorice or something like that. Again, it was fat free. But, he was eating more of that. Well, he really was gaining weight. And in January, February of 2020, he was very, very ill. Now, keep in mind that in December of 2019, he had full blood workup done and it was perfect. I mean, I don't have his numbers offhand, but his total cholesterol was probably like 110, 115. His LDL was, quite low. Numbers that, people would really like to have. But then again, as I said, January, February of 2020, he was sick for about 6 to 8 weeks. He's never been that sick in his life. He only missed one day of work. But he would come home from work. He would literally lay on the floor in the family room. He couldn't eat. He couldn't even watch TV. That's how fatigued he was. And I was sick for about a week during that time. I was still working in the school system. And I found it very strange that during that week, I lost all taste buds. And I would be telling everybody, I would make myself like my black bean brownies or an oatmeal cookie, and I would freeze them, and I would actually eat them frozen so that I knew I was eating something. I mean, we had gone out to eat for pasta. I still remember that. And he's like, "Isn't this good?" I'm like, "I don't know. It could be meat, it could be fish, it could be plant-based, it could be salad. I have no idea what I'm eating." So we'll never know, especially what he had, but we truly believe it was COVID. And then in May of 2020, he had a cardiac arrest in front of me. So he was dead for about 4 to 5 minutes. He was hospitalized for 5.5 weeks. He was on a vent for 11 days, on dialysis for 4 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, those 5.5 weeks were just filled with a lot of ups and downs. He was in part of those 5.5 weeks, that half week was actually an inpatient rehab. And when he entered that inpatient rehab, he was able to stand with a walker for 8 seconds due to atrophy. So, I mean, we are so grateful for everything we've been given. He's made an amazing recovery. And as you probably realize, neither of us have swayed from sticking to the plan. We eat very, very clean. Within 4 to 5 months of coming home, he lost 70 pounds and he's kept the weight off. We eat lots of delicious food. He exercises daily and he's working full time. So again, this is why I do what I do. I want everyone to know that they have a lot of power to make changes in their health by changing their lifestyle. So I am going to start my presentation now. So again, because of all of the weight that he's lost, I'll be talking about a plant-based lifestyle for weight management. So you just heard my story. I'm a retired speech language pathologist. I still do have all my credentials, so I am a speech language pathologist. I've worked 45 years with the special needs population, and I specialized in assistive technology. As Carrie said, I'm certified in plant-based nutrition through T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies. I'm certified in the Starch Solution by Dr. McDougall. I'm a licensed Food for Life instructor through PCRM. And I have certification in the Forks Over Knives plant-based cooking class and the Ruby plant-based professional cooking class. And here's my email, barbchw@comcast.net. Do feel free to email me if I could ever be of any support to you. So again, I just want you to know that this presentation explores the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet, and the info presented is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always work with your physician or qualified healthcare provider before adjusting meds or making major diet changes. And again, I'm not here to answer any questions on specific dietary advice or advice related to medical issues. But I do want to say that, if you are not currently whole food plant-based and are thinking of changing to plant-based, and if you are on any medications, especially, to make sure that you work with your healthcare provider, because your medications will probably need to be modified. The standard American diet. Well, there's a reason we call it the SAD diet. 65% of the food that's eaten in the standard American diet is refined and processed, and those are just basically empty calories that injure your body. Processed foods related to cardiovascular disease, and it also increases the risk for cancer. And for every additional serving of processed food eaten, that's hot dogs, donuts, ice cream, there's an increased risk of cardiovascular disease by as much as 9%. People eating more than 150 grams of processed meat per week increase their risk of heart disease and death by 46 and 51% respectively, and compared to those who do not eat the processed meat. A single slice of bacon or ham per day can increase the risk of cancer by 20%. Now I'm from, the south side of Chicago, and I have to say, prior to eating whole food plant-based, we did not have a very healthy diet. The standard American diet is probably only 25% or more animal-based products. And that includes saturated fat, dietary cholesterol, which we only get from animal protein, and definitely more protein than is needed. People are probably eating only 12% plant-based foods, and most of those are processed plant-based food. So it's basically junk vegan food, which you can find a lot of now in grocery stores. People are also eating about 185 pounds of added sugar and sweeteners each year, and about 3,400 milligrams of salt each day, double or triple, as recommended by many experts. And most of that salt is from processed foods. Now, there are many diseases related to lifestyle, and they are a major threat to Americans. The majority of the US population is overweight or obese, and this increases the risk of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and some cancers. So what's the difference between calorie counting and changing the food that you eat? Well, calorie counting can be very difficult. Let's say you want to eat 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. And believe me, I've had, quote, diets like this in my life. Well, those calories can be used up before dinner. You'll probably be hungry by the end of the day, and you're probably going to give up the, quote, diet even before there's noticeable weight loss or right after the weight loss, and then probably gain the weight back. So we don't want to focus on the word diet and calorie counting. Instead, we want to focus on choosing the right foods. We're not going to be concerned with the quantity of the foods. The right food will automatically give you the right calories and the portions that fall into line on their own, which is automatically going to equal weight loss. So we talk a lot about calorie density. Calorie density measures the relative calories in a given amount of food, like a pound of food. So most of the weight consists of fiber and our water, and that has few or no calories, which help fill you up and prevent overeating. So we want to eat those foods with a higher nutrient density, just as Janet was talking about those delicious veggies. So if we measure, it's a measure of the relative nutrition in the same number of calories of various foods. The more nutrient-rich a food is, the more nourishment you're going to get, and you'll have a greater ability to heal. So I want to thank Chef AJ, who's given me her permission to use her calorie density chart. So in order to lose weight, have the ideal whole food, plant-based lifestyle, we want to eat to the left of the red line. Now we look at those non-starchy veggies. A pound of non-starchy veggies are only 100 calories. A pound of fruit is 300. Then in the 400 to 600 range, we have those unrefined complex carbs, those potatoes, the whole grains and legumes. Now look on the other side, where we've got our refined complex carbs, our ice creams, our breads, our cheese, our sugar, 1,200 to 1,800 calories per pound. Nuts and seeds, nut butters and tahini are high in calories. And I know there's a lot of controversy in the plant-based world. Do we eat nuts? Do we eat nuts if we have cardiovascular disease? Most of the physicians are saying that some nuts and seeds, flax, etc., are healthy to add to your diet. However, if your goal is weight loss, you do want to keep those to a minimum or eliminate them at least initially to get to your goal weight. Now, on the opposite end, one end, we've got those non-starchy veggies at 100 calories per pound. At the other end, we have all oils. And that is all oils. Oil's the most calorie-dense food around at 4,000 calories per pound. That doesn't matter if it's avocado oil or if it's, olive oil, coconut oil, etc. Now, you're probably not going to be eating a pound of oil, but think about if you're going to a restaurant and they give you that, delicious hot loaf of white bread at 1,200 to 1,800 calories per pound, and then you're dipping those slices of bread into the oils. You're accumulating quite a few calories even before your entree arrives. So let's look at our stomach and calorie density. We can have 400 calories of veggies and our stomach is pretty filled up. Then we can have 400 calories of beef. Our stomach is somewhat filled up, but there's more room. And 400 calories of oil, not at all. So we can eat, those 400 calories of veggies and feel very, very full and have minimal calories. We want to look at these two foods, which are both about 500 calories. We can have this muffin that's 37% fat or 3 medium potatoes. Which one do you think is going to fill you up more? The 3 potatoes. It's not the potatoes that cause the problem. So many people are afraid to eat potatoes. It's the butter, the bacon, the sour cream that people put on those potatoes. These two are about 240 calories. The 16-ounce drink, this cappuccino, which is 21% fat, or about 3 cups of these mixed veggies. Look at these 2 items that are about 150 calories. 6 Hershey Kisses, which are 46% fat. And really, if you have more in the house, are you going to stop at 6? Or this beautiful salad that's, filled with a variety of veggies as well as some fruits and maybe a balsamic vinegar or, a squirt of lime or lemon. What's the difference between whole food plant-based eating and vegan? Well, both include no animal products. But to just be vegan includes oil and those junk foods, those refined flours, that white flour, the French fries, the candy, the cookies. Oreo cookies are vegan. I mean, it's not exactly what we would eat if we are looking to improve our health and our weight. The term whole food plant-based was coined by T. Colin Campbell in the early 1980s. You might also call it a low-fat vegan diet, plant strong or plant perfect. So what do I eat? We look at the power plate, and this is through Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. We want those whole grains, those veggies, those beans and legumes, and those fruits. No animal products, do a lot of shopping in the produce section. We want food in its natural state and very low or no oil. So we look at those starches, those whole grains, and as Janet mentioned, there's a variety of them: barley, brown rice, bulgur wheat. You don't have to eat the same whole grains every day. A variety of beans, black beans, cannellini beans, chickpeas, Great Northern, pinto, peas, black-eyed peas, yellow and green peas, lentils. Then those starchy veggies, those tubers and root veggies, potatoes, sweet potatoes, those winter squashes, acorn, buttercups, butternut, and pumpkins. Those non-starchy veggies, they're a source of vitamins, minerals, fiber, and water, but on their own, they're not going to provide enough calories for satiety. We don't want you hungry, but they add flavor, aroma, texture, color, and variety to your plate. And you can see there are many: carrots, beets, radishes, garlic, onions, asparagus, those green leafy veggies. Also, fruits are wonderful. They're very nutritious. They are a sweet addition to your meal. They could be a dessert or a between meal snack. And there are many fruits to choose from. We want to eat the rainbow. And this is from Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine also. So the more naturally colorful the food is, the more likely the food has abundance of cancer-fighting nutrients and immune-boosting powers. So those reds, those tomatoes and tomato products, melons, watermelon have antioxidants. It's going to help cut prostate cancer risk. The oranges, the carrots, the yams, sweet potatoes have beta carotene, which is going to support your immune system, and they have antioxidants. The yellow orange fruits and veggies have vitamin C, flavonoids, going to help to inhibit tumor cell growth and detox harmful substances. Those leafy greens, those green veggies have folate that's going to help build healthy cells and genetic material. The green white are going to help destroy cancer cells, reduce cell division, support your immune system. The blues, the blueberries, the purple grapes, the plums are going to help destroy free radicals. The red purple, like the grapes and the berries and the plums, may suppress estrogen activity. And the brown, the whole grains and legumes are going to help to remove carcinogens and your cholesterol. So fiber is very important in our whole food plant-based diet. We want to aim for about 40 to 50 grams of fiber a day. It's going to help to reduce your blood pressure, help to regulate your sugar, help to reduce inflammation. But keep in mind that only plants have fiber. Animal products have no fiber. You're going to find fiber in your veggies, your fruits, your beans, your whole grains. And research shows that eating those fiber-rich foods is going to give you satiety sooner, which means that you're going to be eating less, so you'll have weight loss without dieting. You might be saying, how am I going to get 50 calories of fiber a day? Well, look at this meal. And we do eat a lot. My friends really chuckle at the amount of food that I can eat. So for breakfast, maybe some oatmeal with a variety of colorful berries. For a snack, a banana. For lunch, something with beans and rice, a nice side salad, again, with a variety of greens and veggies and fruits. For dinner, again, maybe something with a whole grain and some beans. Again, a nice salad with a variety of veggies or some steamed or grilled veggies. And a snack of fruit, either as a dessert or a snack. So it's very easy to get the fiber that's needed. We want to skip those fatty foods. A gram of fat is 9 calories. And it doesn't matter if it's fat from beef or pork or chicken or fish or cheese or oil or salad dressings. But a gram of carbohydrates is just 4 grams. So those are in your potatoes, your breads, your beans, and your pastas. Carbs are low in fat, they're low in calories. Again, as I said earlier, we get the calories from what we add to those carbs, the butter, the sour cream, the milk. And again, we're going to reach satiety sooner when eating carbs versus fatty foods, and unknowingly will consume less calories. So we want to look at the fat in animal products versus these plant products. So look at salmon. It's 40% fat. Even skinless white chicken breast is 23% fat. One hard-boiled egg is 61% fat. 2 ounces of cheddar cheese is 74% fat. And we look at that, none of those animal products have fiber. Now we look at the plant products. A medium apple is only 3% fat and 4 grams of fiber. Beans, 4% fat and 10 grams of fiber. Your broccoli, your lentils, your brown rice, it does have some fat, but very small amount, and it does have fiber, which we're not going to see in our animal products. Also, water adds bulk to food without adding calories. That's also going to increase your satiety sooner. People tend to eat a consistent weight of food, about 4 pounds a day. So you're going to have fewer calories in water-rich foods, and therefore fewer calories will be consumed in a day. Again, look at this beautiful salad. It's quite large, and it's only about 150 calories. We look at the water content of our foods. The asparagus, which Janet was talking about, the beets, the greens, the strawberries, 90 to 100% water. Apples, apricot, Brussels sprouts, oatmeal, pears, and peas, 80 to 89% water content. Now, on the other end, we look at our cereals and our nuts or seeds, some of which we do eat on a whole food plant-based diet. That's only 0 to 9% water, but we look at the candy, the chocolate, the oils. Then we look at the brownies and the cookies, 10 to 19% water. The cakes and the croissants, 20 to 29% water. Dates also have only 20 to 29% water. We just want to be careful of that dried fruit. And yes, we can eat some of that dried fruit, but as I'm saying, it doesn't have the water, so it is more calorie dense. So initially, if your goal is to lose the weight, you probably want to stay away from some of that dried fruit until you get to your goal weight. You might be asking, where do I get my protein on a whole food plant-based diet? Well, a plant-based protein actually reduces the risk of early death from any cause and from heart disease. Research shows that those consuming animal protein increase the risk of death from chronic disease by 23%, and those who ate animal protein had a 5-fold increase in the risk of death related to diabetes. A varied plant-based diet can easily meet your protein needs. An average man, about 56 grams of protein, an average woman, about 48. And look at all these great plant-based sources of protein. 1 cup of cooked lentils has almost 18 grams of protein. A cup of cooked quinoa, 11 grams. So if you're adding the lentils and the quinoa and then throw some broccoli on it and some chickpeas, that's quite a bit of protein. A cup of broccoli has 4.6 grams of protein. Oftentimes people think there's no protein in our veggies. A cup of chickpeas has about 14.5 grams of protein. Now, you might also be asking, where do I get my calcium? I'm not drinking milk. Well, dairy is high in calcium, but high dairy consumption doesn't necessarily correlate to better bone health. Osteoporosis and bone fractures are very common in our country, and dairy consumption in our country is also very high. Dairy can increase the risk of certain cancers, breast, prostate, lung, and ovarian. And besides calcium, dairy products contain animal proteins, lactose, hormones, contaminants, and antibiotics. Now, vitamin D actually contributes to improved bone health, and just 15 minutes a day in the sun really is going to help. Being active also improves your bone health. Exercise can help to prevent those bone fractures, your weight bearing, your walking, your tennis, your dancing, etc. So there are a lot of calcium-rich plant foods. Seeds, which you can sprinkle on salads, veggies, and oatmeal. 1/2 cup of sesame seeds have 350 milligrams of calcium. Some chia seeds have 180 milligrams of calcium for 1 ounce. Beans, which you can add to your soups and your salads and your pastas and your tacos and your pizza even. 1/2 cup of navy beans have 56 milligrams of calcium. Lentils, which you can add to your salads, lentil loaf, chili, has calcium. Almonds, 1/2 cup of raw almonds have 80 milligrams of calcium. 2 tablespoons of almond butter has 80 milligrams. And you can eat those as a snack or add them to your salads or muffins or pancakes. Also, low oxidate leafy greens. Now, oxalates are found in some leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard and beet greens, which beet greens, which can block the absorption of your calcium. But collard greens have calcium. Bok choy, cup of kale has 80 milligrams of calcium. Also, fruits and veggies, your oranges, your broccoli has calcium also. So where are you going to start on a whole food plant-based lifestyle? Well, you want to start with those familiar foods. Make it quick and easy. If it's not quick and easy, you probably aren't going to do it. Maybe those rices, the pasta, potatoes, white potatoes and sweet potatoes. Eat simple, at least in the beginning, and you can still have variety. Experiment with different spices, a variety of veggies. And don't forget, you can easily, make meals from frozen veggies for a quick snack and a meal. Also, a variety of fruits. And don't forget about frozen fruits. You can add a variety of dressings, balsamic vinegar, fresh lime, and lemon. Be careful if you are using prepared sauces. Do read the label carefully to avoid those oils, fats, and the sodium. And we want to choose products with the fewest artificial ingredients. When you go shopping, you want to shop mostly in the produce section. If time is an issue, buy prepackaged greens. They're sliced and diced already. Again, buy frozen veggies or frozen fruits. You want to avoid those bottled juices and instead eat the fresh fruits that have the fiber in them. Canned beans can be convenient, and I often do make my own beans. I just made a slow cooker full of pinto beans today, and I'm now making garbanzo beans, but I do use canned beans as well. They're convenient. Just be sure that you buy the ones that are no salt added, and wash them and drain them, and do explore those new spices. So whole food plant-based eating is not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So some tips from Forks Over Knives: avoid making food and meal decisions as much as possible. You want to stock up your environment. Decide in advance when decisions will be needed. If you're going to a restaurant, check out the menu before you go and decide in advance on a plant-based option. When you're there, though, don't hesitate, to talk to the chef. My cousin was a chef, and he said oftentimes chefs really like making something that's not on the menu. They get to experiment. And we've had some really good luck where chefs will make us, beautiful trays of nice veggies, etc. You don't want to let yourself get too hungry. And this I find is very important. I'm not going to lie. You do need to plan. You can't just come home and be hungry and not open a cabinet and not have something ready. No calorie counting. You want to be a support to yourself, especially in the first few weeks. You keep repeating a good behavior, and it's gradually going to become more automatic. You want to connect with other plant-based eaters, which is what you're all doing because you're here in this group and you're watching the YouTube channel. So you are connecting with others. Maybe it's going to help you to keep a journal. So whatever works for you. But you want to avoid that butter and margarine and enjoy instead bean spreads, jellies, and jams made with whole fruits. Avoid the refined cereal. Enjoy hot or cold whole grain cereal without those refined ingredients. Avoid cookies, cakes, and other desserts. Enjoy fresh fruit or occasionally a dessert from the resource recipes. Avoid ice cream and instead enjoy nice cream, which I do make quite often with just fresh fruit. Avoid fats in baking and instead enjoy a prune puree or a fat replacer or applesauce. Avoid oils for sauteing and in recipes. Instead, enjoy a veggie broth or saute in water or broth. Avoid milk on cereal. Instead, enjoy a plant-based milk. Avoid white rice. Enjoy brown rice or other whole grain. Avoid those salad dressings. Instead, a balsamic vinegar or an SOS, salt, oil, sugar-free dressing, or a squirt of lemon or lime. Avoid meat, poultry, and fish. Enjoy those starchy veggies, those whole grains, those pastas and beans. So how are you going to include more of these in your meals? Well, those beans you can add to soups, chili, burritos, salad, sauces. blend with spices to make spreads for sandwiches or dips. You can puree beans and with your veggies to make nice thick soups. Berries you can blend in a smoothie, add to oatmeal, cereal, and salads. Fruits, blend in smoothies, add to your salads and oatmeal. Make your nice cream, maybe bake some apples with cinnamon. Those cruciferous veggies, toss them into salads and soups and pastas. And your greens, smoothies and soups and stews and pasta dishes and sandwiches. I add my leafy greens in whenever I'm making a soup or stew. Anytime I can add more leafy greens, I try to include it in a recipe. Other veggies, as Janet said, you find a recipe and you can, make it a bit of your own. So add whatever veggies, you like to, a recipe, a soup, a stew, your sandwiches. Enjoy a variety of veggies with a bean dip or some hummus. Mix some flaxseed in with oatmeal, salad dressings, or sprinkle on top of your salads. Again, nuts and seeds used sparingly, but you can put them in your oatmeal and your pasta dishes and make into some creamy dressings or sauces. For a snack food, a hummus or other fat-free spread. Popcorn, it's just corn, but avoid that instant popcorn with the added fat. Again, a variety of veggies and fruits, fresh fruit, maybe, some fat-free crackers. You want to have that fruit and veggie cut up so your family members can easily snack on them, and keep it on the counter, keep it, right in the front of the refrigerator so that it's highly visible and that you will eat it. I find that it's really important. You're buying grapes as soon as you get them home, or, as soon as you can, wash them, put them in the bowl, because otherwise they'll be sitting in the refrigerator and you may not be eating them. Dining out, again, speak directly to the chef, explain in detail what you're able to eat. Just tell them you want them prepared without animal products, no butter, no oil. I tell them no salt, and I always let them know, don't worry, we are going to enjoy it, because they're so worried that they have to include all the oil and the salt, or you're not going to go back to the restaurant because you won't enjoy it. For breakfast, and you're going out, maybe you'll have some oatmeal, some whole grain cereal, a whole grain toast with jam, hash browns, or fresh fruits. I have to say I'm at a different point in my life now. When I go out with friends, I go out for the social. I have a group of people that I meet for breakfast, every few weeks, and I typically eat at home. And when I go, I just have a few pieces of fresh fruit. But I'm at a very different point in my life. For lunch, maybe a veggie sandwich made with a whole grain bread, a salad with an oil dressing. For dinner, maybe a pasta. We go to a local restaurant about once a week just to get out, my husband and I, and they make us a whole wheat pasta, a no oil, tomato sauce with some broccoli and some mushrooms on it, and no salt, no oil. They know. It's just called a Brian and Barb special. Maybe some beans with rice, or, oftentimes we'll go out to a restaurant and I'll just have a salad and maybe a baked potato without the butter. Perfection, just eat in the least restrictive way. Don't get off track, but if you have a bad day, start back on your whole food plant-based lifestyle immediately. If you, ate poorly at lunch, don't say to yourself, oh, I blew it at lunch, so that means that I'm going to order a deep dish pizza tonight for dinner. No, start immediately with your next snack and your next meal. And don't be hard on yourself. It's a process. It's taken us quite a while to get to where we are today. And we're improving on that daily and weekly, to be honest. So these are some of our favorite snacks and meals. I do make homemade potato chips, make chili. I put it over a baked potato sometimes. Here's a double baked potato, and we just serve it with a little barbecue sauce or some mustard or salsa. Sweet potato loaf, which we actually had today. That's one of Chef AJ's recipes. Hash brown potatoes, our local Trader Joe's has frozen hash browns, and the only ingredients are potatoes. I know it's hard to find something like this that doesn't have the oil and the salt, especially the oil, but our Trader Joe's does. So I'll defrost it and I'll put it in the waffle maker. Also, oatmeal waffles. So I just make the oatmeal, add a little cinnamon, and put them in the waffle maker. I do serve it with a small side of maple syrup, and instead of pouring the maple syrup on pancakes or waffles, I just dip it, so we're automatically eating less of that. This is nice cream. This is strawberry banana made with 100% fresh fruit. For special occasions, we have the Esselstyn's kale cake with raspberry tofu icing. This is a platter of grilled veggies. This was from a restaurant in the Oak Brook area, if you're local to our area. A whole wheat pasta that I talked about earlier. This is a pizza. The crust is actually from Plant Strong, and you can add whatever, veggies you like to it. This is a veggie jambalaya with black-eyed peas, and below is a veggie wrap from a local restaurant. I'm here to support you as well. This is my email. As Carrie said, I'm also a Food for Life instructor, and I provide free Zoom classes. And I truly do this because of the gratitude that I have for all that we've been given. My husband, is working full time. He's sticking to the plan. He feels really good. And I am just so grateful that I just want to spread the news about my gratitude and about how you have power to change your health. So I will be offering a class on Monday, March 25th, How Foods Fight Heart Disease. Starts at 6. I do a lot, 2 hours, but it's not going to take 2 hours. So if any of you are interested in this class, just shoot me an email and I will put you on my list. Or if you can't make this class, and if you are interested in any future classes that I might be having, send me an email at your convenience and I'll put you on the list. I don't have a website. I don't have a Facebook page, but I do have an email list. So again, thank you so much for for attending tonight. Are there any questions?
Yes, well, thank you so much for all of the information. I think, even though I've been eating this way for a while, it was nice to hear some of those reminders and some of the simple ways to make, changes, because you kind of slip here and there, and there are definitely easy ways to incorporate plant-based ingredients and make it stress-free. So it's easy to adapt to any lifestyle, whether you're busy or on the go, or whether you have more time to follow recipes. So I appreciated all of your tips.
Great. Thank you so much. Are we ready for the cooking demo?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to share my sound. Okay. And oh my gosh, I have a bar at the bottom that oh, here we go. Okay, 1 second. Here we go. I'm going to make bean burgers. Bean burgers are very budget friendly. They're a very nutritious meal, and they're also a very tasty meal to have available. So I make these in bulk and I freeze them. So if I do need a fast meal and a very nutritious meal quickly, I have it in my freezer ready to go. So I'm making a double batch. So I'm going to start with 3 cups of beans. Now I'm using pinto beans, but there are many varieties of beans. So you can use whatever you have available, whatever are your favorite beans. I often do pinto beans, black beans, maybe a mixture of pinto beans and black beans. So do be creative. I made these from scratch. So I had dried beans that I did soak for about 24 to 30 hours, changing the water every 8 to 10 hours. And you can make them either in your slow cooker or in your Instapot or just even a pot on your stove, whatever you prefer. Beans are one of the best plant-based sources of protein. About a half a cup provides 7 grams of protein. So now I am going to mash these. Again, I usually make a double batch because I like to have them available for a quick meal. Okay. Actually, eating beans and legumes also is associated with a slimmer waist and lower blood pressure. So beans are also filled with fiber, so they're very nutritious. Now again, I'm making a double batch, so I'm going to add 1/2 cup of cooked brown rice. I've made this with quinoa, again, whatever grain you have available or what you like. So if you're doing 1.5 cups of beans, then you would do 1/4 cup of your grain. And if you don't want to make the beans from scratch, you definitely can use canned beans. If you're getting canned beans, do be sure you get the no salt added beans and drain and rinse them. I'm then adding 1/2 cup of dry oatmeal. So the oatmeal is a high soluble fiber, and it's one of the most filling grains. Studies show that eating oatmeal increases your satiety, and if it's increasing your satiety, it's also going to decrease your appetite. Oatmeal is also great for heart health, and it has showing some anti-diabetic properties as well. Now your brown rice, as I said, I use brown rice. That's the whole version of white rice, so it's complete with its natural fiber, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Again, there is fiber in the rice as well, so that's also going to add to your satiety. So I found this recipe several years ago. My husband and I were at an immersion weekend that the Esselstyns gave. And one of the speakers was Jeff Nowak, who is a dietitian. So this is basically the basis for all of the beans, the burgers that you might make. And you can make these into meatballs. So again, I would say 3 cups of mashed beans to your 1/2 cup of dry oatmeal and a 1/2 cup of grain. And I cooked grain, and I use the brown rice. So take it from there. You can add whatever you'd like to it. I do it kind of simple. I'm just adding some chopped onion. But you might want to add some leafy greens, maybe some chopped kale, some chopped spinach. Might want to add some corn, perhaps some different spices, oregano or cumin. Again, whatever you prefer. Again, mine are going to be fairly simple, just some chopped onions. And I am then going to add a little bit of barbecue sauce. This is local folks barbecue sauce that we get at Whole Foods, and it's fairly low in sodium. I'm not adding a lot, but we do like food with a kick. So this will give a bit of a kick. And you know, if you saw, I didn't use much, and again, that depends on your taste. So whatever you prefer. Again, you might use different spices. now I'm going to make these into my patties. You can make them whatever size you like. You can make meatballs, whatever. I get about 4 burgers to each 1.5 cups, so I'll probably get about 8 burgers out of this. And I make them fairly good size. Okay, now I'm making the burgers. So when I have all these burgers made, all the patties made, what I do is I wrap them in parchment paper, and then I freeze them. Then when I'm ready to have a burger, I just take it out of the freezer and I simply warm it. Now I use Scan pans. So this is a ceramic pan that's made in Denmark, and there is no need for any oil or broth or water when you're even making onions or mushrooms in these Scan pans. So basically all I'm going to do then is take the burgers out frozen and warm them in the pan. I do flip them over. And you'll see the finished product. You can serve it on an Ezekiel roll, on a whole wheat bread, again, whatever your preference. You might even serve it between some, romaine leaves. Now, I have a friend who makes these burgers as well, and she makes them a little bit differently. She makes her burger patties, and then she bakes them in the oven, like right now, about 375, just until they brown. So, maybe 15, 20 minutes until they're brown. Sometimes she flips them over, sometimes she doesn't. And then she lets them cool. And then after they're cool, she puts them in parchment paper and freezes them. So they're ready cooked. And for a very quick meal, she then microwaves or warms them in her air fryer. So I'm going to continue making the patties, and then I'm going to warm up the burgers, and you'll see our finished meal in a bit. I finished making all the patties, and I did get 8 patties out of 3 cups of beans. So I'll be serving this with a salad. And for our dressing, we'll just use balsamic vinegar or balsamic glaze. And I'm serving it today on an oat bread. So here's our burger with some leafy greens and a tomato. I also have a red pepper, and I'm serving it with a side of potato wedges. The potato wedges are another tasty side dish that also keeps you full. What I do is I bake the potato earlier in the day, and then I put it in the refrigerator to chill and get real firm. After it's firm, I slice it into wedges and then just put it in the air fryer. Or you could do it in the oven if you don't have an air fryer. You could put a little pepper on it, whatever spices you like. We just have it basically, plain in a side of barbecue sauce for dipping. I hope you enjoy. This meal is very tasty. It's also very budget friendly and easy to create. Enjoy.
Okay.
Those look really good. I can't wait to try them. I love that the recipe is very easy, and like you said, there's so many different ways to flavor it and add different things to make it your own. So
Yes, just get creative.
yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Let's see.
I have a question. What was the brand barbecue sauce that you?
Oh, local folks. We used to be able to get it at Whole Foods, and they stopped selling it at Whole Foods now. So I do have to order it. I think it gets a place called Healthy Market or Healthy Heart Market. So I get it online. Yeah.
Oh,
But
that's
it's got a nice kick to it.
Yeah.
Probably add tomato paste or pizza sauce or to make an Italian burger. I think Carrie was saying she had a recipe for a pizza burger, didn't you? That you,
Yeah. So I tried this weekend. If anyone has heard of the website Monkey and Me, they have so many different recipes, but they have quite a few burger recipes as well. And I've tried one of their burgers before, and I've loved it, but I wanted to try a different variety. So we picked a pizza burger, and it did have, I believe it had chickpeas as the bean, and it had like cooked brown rice, but then it had like bell peppers and other seasonings that would be more the Italian style. I was actually making a different burger while my mom was making the pizza burger, so I can't say all of the ingredients that went in them, but they were really good. It was My whole family ate them, and my parents, who are not completely plant-based, loved them and actually wanted to keep some of the leftover ones, and we'll be making that recipe again. So I can include that recipe link in the show notes on the recorded version that'll go on YouTube. But yeah, just try out different recipes. Or like Barb was sharing in her slides, there's ways to make simple meals with frozen fruits and vegetables and different grains. So you don't necessarily have to start out with elaborate recipes. If you're new to eating this way, I think I kind of got caught up in that initially and trying to make a different recipe every night of the week, and it gets a little stressful. So just keep it simple. Start with some ingredients that you like and add in new vegetables and different grains and fruits. But start with what you like and build from there.
I have to say, and initially many years ago, we were told to eat chicken and salmon. We were basically eating chicken and salmon every day. We'd get pizza and we'd have chicken on it with no cheese. I mean, it was boring, it was bland, it wasn't very tasty. Whereas now, we have so much more variety. And, we started with just a few meals that we like. One of our favorites is just, I call it Chipotle bowl. And it's just, a bowl of leafy greens, whatever you like, a nice mixture of them. And, some canned beans that I warm up, some fire roasted corn. You can throw in some peppers and put some grain and some salsa on it. And it's extremely filling and very, very, very tasty. And it literally takes 5 minutes to make.
Yeah, and
that
when you
sounds
have some of those components either like in the frozen form and you just have to
Sure.
quickly heat them, or like canned beans, like you just have to heat those, it makes it really easy to mix and match. So like you said, you could have a big bowl and you wouldn't necessarily have to eat the same thing every night. You can mix the different ingredients and have a different style or different taste every night.
Exactly.
And there's so much more online just since I started back in 2015, 16. It was hard to find oil-free cookbooks or oil-free recipes online. Now, there's so many new authors with cookbooks available, watching Chef AJ with demoing. And actually, I loved watching your video, Barb. So thanks for putting that together
Oh, you're
because
welcome.
sometimes you make it in a food processor instead, but for people that don't have a food processor, you just need a spoon and a bowl
Right.
and a potato masher. You don't need a whole lot of stuff. So there's no excuses of, I have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money.
Exactly.
And those burgers would be really good on top of a salad too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, just like a patty. And one of my favorite when I was first looking for burger recipes and sauce recipes, because sometimes they could be a little dry when you bake them, because we're used to so many, all of the fat in a burger.
Mhm.
Veggiesdon'tbite.com is, I don't know if you're familiar with that website, but she has a
Yeah.
lot of oil-free sauces, mayonnaise substitutes, and from using tofu, can cashews and different things, and even sunflower seeds. So it's nice to have a sauce with it that's healthy, and it kind of changes the same burger. Your basic
Exactly.
burger could be changed to a pizza burger, a Chipotle burger, a Asian style burger. You could just with a different sauce. So I love it. I gotta
Most
try that.
definitely.
So when you cook it in the pan, how many minutes do you keep it when it's frozen? Do you put a cover on it, or how do
I
you do it?
don't. I don't. I'm just there flipping it. You know, you'll be able to tell once it's done. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I've seen some recipes for burgers too that have a touch of beets in them, grated, in like a food processor to give it that, that meaty for people.
Yeah.
I don't really want to create that look, but for sometimes if you're bringing them out somewhere for other people, you want it to look as similar as possible. So it's nice to use those pinto beans or black beans or a mixture even of some red beans to give a little more color and texture to the.
Exactly. Great idea.
So yeah, it's fun. I found joy in the kitchen, as we all did, whether we're opening just frozen vegetables and packages pre-done and dumping it in a pot. But it's fun to experiment once a week or a few times a month and invite a friend over to try something new, or just sample, Google something new and have fun with it, right?
Exactly. It's a process. But get those easy recipes and start with those, and then, every week, every month, whatever you can, just find a new one.
Yeah, that's all you need to do is build on the basics, right? Start with the basics and
Exactly.
build from there.
Exactly.
Looks like people in the chat are writing. Thank you. They look great. Sounds amazing. All the recipes, great ideas. Thank you for the info and the food demo. She's gonna try the burgers. Well, thank you, all the people that we have. Put on where you're calling from too. I know someone said London, Canada, and then we had someone from New York, and I'm not sure where everyone else is from, but we're located actually from PBNM, plant-based nutrition movement.org. We just want to remind people, if you're not on our mailing list, we have a monthly newsletter, and it's a free membership to get our newsletter and get tied in to our monthly Zoom. I think Carrie will tell you a little more as a closing on what our next month special event is.
Yeah. Yeah, so as Jan said, if you want to learn more about PBNM, these events, or anything that we have going on, you can head to our website. It's pbnm.org. And by doing that, you can sign up to receive our newsletter, which has all of our events, as well as articles and recipes. So a lot of good stuff. So I want to thank both Barb and Janet for presenting tonight, and for everyone that is here watching live, or those who may be watching the recording once it gets posted. We appreciate all of you joining us, and we invite you to use the show notes that we'll put together with all the quick links that Janet shared at the beginning of the event. And we'll put all the recipe ideas in there as well. And we encourage you to try something new, experience a new flavor, spice blend, recipe, or maybe a different ingredient that you've not tried before. And feel free to let us know what you chose and how you thought it went. And before we say goodbye, I'll tell you about our program for next month. We are excited to welcome Dr. Akil Taher as our guest speaker, and he's going to be sharing a presentation about what heart disease is, how it can be prevented, and if suffering with heart disease, the steps you can take to reverse it and live a healthy, long, active life. He is definitely an active individual, and you will get that right away if you attend the event and hear him speak. He has some amazing stories. And the date for April's event is going to be Tuesday the 16th. So be sure to head to our website, check out the details, and join us on the 16th. And we hope to see everyone back, and maybe bring a friend with you. So have a good night, everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
again.
Thank you.
Take care.